You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder, and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Well, welcome back to E-commerce Fastlane. I'm your host, Steve Hutt. Now, today, I want you to picture something that is likely happening right now while you're listening. There's likely a potential customer who is calling your store. Maybe they have a question about, sizing. They're going to buy something. Who knows? I mean, if it's a fashion retailer, you're probably, upwards of $200 for an average order. Or maybe they're stuck in a checkout, and they're just about to abandon their cart. Maybe it's even late at night. It could be, depending on your time zone, it could be like after 9 o'clock, and they saw an ad on social media, like on Instagram, and now they're ready to shop. And so I guarantee you, if you have a phone connected to your store, this phone's going to ring a few times, and then if you're not around, it's going to go to voicemail. And what happens with that customer? Well, they're gone, right? And I've done some research on this before recording, and it seems that more than 80% of the people who hit a voicemail for a brand they want to work with, they want to buy from, they typically don't call back, and off to Google they go and search for a new competitor. And I think that's very sad when you think about that how important phone is in being able to answer the phone. And I think that's the reasons why I have my guest on today, who's Thomas Rivera. And he works with a company and founding partner, actually, of NLPearl, and they're at nlpearl.ai. And they're one of the first companies that bring now AI voice agent actually in the Shopify ecosystem now. And so Thomas and his team, they've really built quite a unique situation where 24/7 you have a virtual front desk, literally, that answers every call. It looks up orders in real time in your Shopify admin. It handles returns and frequently asked questions. Hey, do you ship to Canada? We kind of joked about that before recording, but it's just those are really great questions people might want to ask, or even product recommendations. And and then during the daytime when agents are available, imagine having a AI agent transfer to a live agent to get that better human touch. So quite interesting. I know we're going to unpack a lot today. I know people are dying to implement AI tools and systems, and they feel a little bit apprehensive because they don't really know the ROI and the cost and the implementation. So we're going to dig all into AI voice. So hello, Thomas. Welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Hey, Steve. Well, thanks for having me. Really appreciate the time to spend with you today.
I know, it's so great. I did, you're the first person that I've had on that's building an AI voice system and process right now. I've had other AI tools on, if it's writing content or if it's inventory, or maybe potentially a CRM with some AI components to it, even chatbots, which we'll talk a difference between AI voice agents and chatbots in a few minutes. But it's interesting to have you on today, that we're going to put our flag in the sand. I think it's going to be a great episode because it's something that I know people need, and it's so affordable, and the technology is there for that. So let's kind of unpack it a bit. So, when you think about voice and you think about phone calls that are being missed, this is pretty critical that these sorts of things are happening and then just going to voicemail. And like I said at the top, the stats that I found, 60% of people are not going to shop at that location again because they're unable to get a hold of someone when they want to shop. So can you take me back to the moment when you kind of decided that maybe voice and voice connections to a brand was a missing piece kind of in a tech stack for a Shopify brand?
Yeah, well, great question. Yeah, so, Pearl has been around a little over 2.5 years, and we started to get some traction with some of the largest e-commerce platforms. I can't say their names on the podcast, but some of the biggest ones. And they were starting to implement and use us. And we started to think about, well, what about all the Shopify users out there and the Shopify Plus users and all the store owners? And we always found that one of the things that always happened whenever we looked at Shopify stores, when you call up a website, if it's a really small Shopify store, it's going to end up being someone's personal phone number, right? And they may not pick up, they may pick up, you may get a weird transfer, or you may call a larger operations and you're calling India, Philippines, or one of the big call center locations. And we felt it was a bit fragmented. where the experience there wasn't continuity there. You didn't know who you were going to get. And sometimes it will flat out not pick up. And there's so many, stores opening on a consistent basis. And the weakest link is generally the phone number. You can send it, you can work on getting an email, you can do auto emails, you can probably use a CRM to respond to those emails, but you're really missing out on the phone. And the phone is such a powerful thing because it does personalize or humanize the experience for a customer. Yes, you can you can type on a chat. Yes, you can email somebody, but being able to speak on the phone and have a connection with the brand, I think can go a long way. And we think that personalization and other things can really bring it to the next level. But we wanted to start out with the basics, right? Get an AI voice agent that can handle the front desk, can take on orders, can handle returns, can send emails, send SMS if needed, recommend a product. It can also work on potential missed or abandoned carts. We kept it more on the inbound side for now, but we also have a full-fledged platform that can do outbound calling and do a lot more capabilities. And the idea is to really help those Shopify owners that really need the capability of having a phone system that works consistently, that's 24/7. It's not their personal phone number. They don't have to spend a lot of money on a call center operations if they're, in a mid-market scenario. And so we felt that voice is going to be something that's huge for them. It's human-like, it's very connecting. And the way the voice agents respond and speak is very human-like. It does have that human quality. So we think this is the future, and we're excited to bring this to market.
Yeah, it's amazing. I watched a few videos before recording, even the one in the Shopify App Store. It's so interesting, just like the quality of, this is not a robotic voice. This is and it's interesting how you can actually choose the type of agent's voice that you want to use that represents just the overall persona of your business. Yeah. It's quite interesting, male or female. And there's even from a geographical perspective, if you require an accent or not. And it's so interesting. That's, what's available. So let's talk about the solution a bit. So you're in the Shopify ecosystem now, and you have a Shopify app. It's fairly new in the market right now. And can you walk us through what Pearl actually does? From a merchant's perspective. So they install this app, they kind of get going, and then let's say, I don't know, someone calls and your system answers, hey, where's my order? What happens from the moment that kind of Pearl answers? Can you kind of walk us through some of the process here?
Yeah, great one. So right now, the way it works is that we have it fully integrated to your Shopify store on the back end. So we're able to look up store orders, returns, shipping FAQs, product recommendations, anything that you have in terms of your back end, SKU numbers, style numbers, item numbers, right? All of that is kind of connected already on the back end to the agent, and the agent then can speak to anything that the customer is really looking for, right? Most of the calls may come in for, where's my order? I can't find a product. Hey, do you have this size? Do you have this color? I don't see it on the website. And so the agent is basically pulling the back end of that store based on what the merchant put in already. And the agent then could spit that back to the customer, say, hey, well, this is where that product's out of stock, or your shipping is going to come out. And so it's quite seamless. We made it in such a way that you can do it literally in a few minutes. It's like you go to the App Store, you look up NLPearl, and then from there, the agent, what we built already is going to grab most of your information. You probably have to fill out a few things here or there, but other than that, the agent will immediately be able to respond to customers, and you can deploy that phone number right on your website. And literally takes, I think I did it about 5-7 minutes, and I was a little thorough. So that's how fast you can actually pull this up and have the agent then respond. So it's connecting to your back end and having your store built out in a way that has enough information that a customer service rep can handle, then that agent will then be able to retrieve that.
Yeah. It's interesting about your integration, because I was checking some, I don't call them notable competitors, but they really aren't. But a lot of them are kind of like on-site kind of voice widgets where the customers talk to them while they're browsing the website physically, where it seems that Pearl is more focused on actual phone calls, traditional phone numbers where customers actually dial the number to reach a business. And I think that's a kind of critical distinction. Can you talk a little bit about that difference between these chat phone system things and then you physically letting someone call a local or toll-free number and having your system pick up?
Yeah. So, we find that most people are on the go. And if you want to know something fast and quick, phone number could be really fast, right? You can just call that number and say, hey, I just have a quick conversation, put it on speaker. You're in the car. you're in a cafe, whatever, and you just want to get a response really quickly on whatever that may be. And, chatbots go only so far because they're very rudimentary. They're very bot-like. So they give you one-level answers. The agent is autonomous agents that can actually respond to you, understand the context, and go further. And so, yeah, we chose to do phone numbers because we also feel like working through that model, we can also do outbound calls later on, right? So if a customer abandons a cart, you can call that customer back. We wanted to kind of have that all built out together so that it goes both ways. You can have inbound calls coming in for you, and then you can also have outbound calls using the same agent. And that's what we've kind of built on our original platform, which many customers are using. For the Shopify, we created just an inbound for now, but we feel like outbound is going to be the next thing to do. But yeah, we feel that phone numbers and connections and personalization is still something, a missing touch there. The widgets and navigating the website with the voice, we think that's something that we can potentially do as well. But we really wanted to go after the traditional broken, fragmented part of the business, which we found is to always be the phone number, right? And generally speaking, at least for some adults, we always generally think that we can get more done with a phone number by calling the number on the site because we feel like you're going direct to the company at that point, right? It kind of gives that, and it's still the same way we feel it now, that phone number connection kind of gives you that feeling like, well, this is going to be a little more personalized. I'm going to probably get through to somebody quicker and faster, right? Versus something that's just on the website.
I see.
And so we think that connection is still there. We think phone is still there for that. And we want to kind of bridge that gap.
I see. Now, other than connecting to Shopify, how does it work as far as connecting to other pieces of technology? Because I think the Shopify store, certainly when you go into the plus side, there's certain pieces of technology that, and it's always an objection I have when I talk to someone, when I kind of recommend a new platform or tool, is hey, well, just so you know, Steve, these are the pieces of technology that are like non-negotiables for us because there's product owners, they do certain things. It's part of our overall tech stack. That's just how our business runs. And so you're asking me to add on this piece of technology now. So I just want to understand the mindset about playing nicely with other pieces of technology. And then what other pieces of tech do you feel are notable that Pearl connects to?
Yeah, well, the great part is that we actually have an API connection that you can make to any platform. So we're platform agnostic at the moment.
Okay.
Very easy to implement. We can update records as well. We can send over post-call results. So you don't have to leave your CRM. You can keep your CRM. We know that there's some bigger players in the market that dominate the CRM world for Shopify. And we want to integrate with them natively. And we're working on that next to work through integrating with them. But we want to continue to learn from the audience and learn from the market what features do you want, what other things you need before we go into native integrations, because we want to make sure that we're sending the right data. But yeah, right now you can connect an API connection and it's seamless. As long as there's an API available for that CRM, there could be a connection made.
Yeah, because I know a lot of people are using either Zendesk or maybe, Gorgeous is probably like the major player in the Shopify world, but it's so interesting. It'd be interesting if Pearl could handle maybe logging the call somehow in the customer record inside Gorgeous so that if someone sends an email like, oh, shoot, there's a phone call associated to this. We need to adds more context to the whole conversation.
Yeah, we're doing that right now with some of the largest CRMs in the world.
Oh, perfect.
So call logging, audio updates, lead status changes, you name it, the agent can actually go and do. And that really is another thing that separates us, right? We're talking about agentic AI versus just an AI bot that's on the website or a chat bot or a widget. We're talking now that the agent has agency and is able to go ahead and actually make updated records for you. So not only could it take your orders and take in FAQs, product recommendations, all those other things, it can also then go ahead and update your records for you. So you're basically getting a digital worker at a fraction of the cost for your Shopify store. And you're also getting a mini call center. And you can scale it up to hundreds of agents as well if you want to. So really, it changes the game where most companies that have the budget go and get a call center operations. But if you're scaling your business, you're doing really well, we are going to help you scale faster at a fraction of the cost.
Love it. I know I watched the video too, and they're a little bit cheeky, which I think is on purpose. And I think it's really cool. It's like, this starts at $49. Like, well, what are we doing here? I thought it was great. It was really good branding on your team's part by, you're right. I mean, we're not here to replace all the humans, but we are here to scale up the business. And that means maybe not having so much human capital and the cost that goes along with that. It's just talking about scaling efficiently. And it means adding on a couple agents right now and seeing how it goes and then scaling up as you feel that, there's been a successful outcome for each of these agents.
Yeah, I mean, look, for $49, you basically almost get like 10 employees.
I know, right? Oh,
and
man.
10 people work with you 24/7, never take a break. They're always on your side.
Never
They're always
sick.
fighting for you. Yeah, I mean, look, and I always feel like in the past, people that are starting out an entrepreneur, they always try to start off with an e-commerce store. I mean, in general, right? At least that was my experience. I always felt like, well, what can I do? I wanted to sell t-shirts when I was younger, right? And
100%.
I created that. And, I remember having my own personal phone number up there and, whatever calls I got, I don't know if I even answered them, but the fact that now that you can bridge that gap and have people and have agents working for you, and you could do this tomorrow, it's amazing. I think it really bridges the gap. It helps people scale faster. And the goal is to really help Shopify owners make more money and scale faster.
Yeah. It's funny. Harley Finkelstein, current president of Shopify right now, his kind of claim to fame before he even came on board at Shopify was he just kind of was hanging out in Montreal. This is kind of a side story, but he was hanging out in Montreal in Canada and in Quebec. And then he just found out like, well, where are all the entrepreneurs hanging out? And then he met Toby, who's the, one of the founders of Shopify. And he just, he learned about this platform. He said, yeah, I want to sell some t-shirts. And he called his company Smoofer. And he just started selling like t-shirts, like from colleges and universities around North America, and it blew up into quite an interesting business. And he was like literally Shopify store number one.
Wow.
Other than maybe Toby's original store, like selling snowboards. But the thing was that, I think he was using Yahoo stores and he just felt it was horrible and then decided to build his own platform to sell his snowboards on. I think he went to Whistler and loves snowboarding and, he's from Germany and yada, yada, yada. Whole story behind it, but so interesting. And then, here we are. And I think you're right. People start dabbling in kind of what they're passionate about. E-commerce seems to be like the main kind of like entry point for a lot of entrepreneurship. It's a good way of kind of building your business acumen a bit because there's a lot of levers, a lot of moving parts to make this whole engine work. And I think if anything, you learn something about yourself and being a business operator, right? So, so interesting.
Yeah, I know. And add to that a little bit, in the past, generally, if you're only an English speaker and you had a website and you were selling in multiple countries or at least trying to get international customers,
right?
If you picked up the phone, you can only speak English. Maybe you speak Spanish, a few other languages, right? I mean, now you have an agent that can speak 8 or 18 languages for you. So you're not only just a regional store owner, now you're a global store owner, right? Where, people from all over the world could find your product and buy from you and then speak in that particular language, which I think is very incredibly powerful.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I know that, if your Chrome browser is set up, it's interesting how people, when they dial in, I guess it's different on Chrome, because I know for me, people come to my website, if their default language is not English, mine is translated in real time, or it might already be translated. And so it allows people to read in their language or flip back to English if they choose. What happens if someone calls in from Germany to the website? Like, how does it know that, holy smokes, man, this person's calling from Germany? And is there some kind of data that's traveling through the system to know that, wow, okay, they're physically calling from Germany. We know that. Maybe we should kind of greet them in German.
Yeah. Well, on our main platform, we have such capabilities, usually that's usually based on a SIP connection that we have with a configuration with a VoIP provider. But for our platform on Shopify, the good news is that if someone calls that phone number and let's say they're out of the country, the AI agent will automatically detect the language and switch the language. So if someone starts speaking in German right away, then it'll start to greet them in German. And then if it's Spanish or French or Italian, whatever it may be, you'll be able to change the conversation and have a full conversation with them. And there's no translating needed on your website. There's no translation needed on the back end. The agent will automatically translate everything that you have on your back end and front end to be able to personalize the conversation.
I wish I had video on right now. My mouth is open and I'm shaking my head. That is so unbelievable. And it completely makes sense that, it's almost like, in text, when you go to Google Translate and you say, figure out the language, and I copy and paste the text in and I have no idea what it says. It understands it in real time and gives me the English. So it's the same kind of thing with your solution where, maybe it greets in English. Hi, thanks for calling, Dual Hawk Chairs, yada, 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 whatever your company's name is. And then they instantly come in German. They know that they've just kind of asked a question in German, and boom, they instantly switch.
That's great.
That's awesome. So do you have any, I know you're new in the Shopify world, but do you have any examples or any kind of case studies that you can talk about and saying, hey, here's a Shopify business where either they had some kind of basic phone system that they were barely using or just using it during office hours as best they can with live agents, and they're kind of doing their thing. And then they decided to use Pearl, and then what does great look like now for their life and their business now that they've connected to your platform?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'll start. I think the one that comes to mind quickly is, I can't say their name, but I would say a mid-market client. I think they do close to, I get 1,000 calls a day. It's pretty high.
Okay, yeah.
The revenue is pretty good as well. And their issue is that their call center operations is not 24/7 based on their budget that they have. It also they don't have more than 2 languages.
I see.
So they're kind of stuck if any international customers call, which is very interesting. And so their need was, after hours and the language, right? The language capability. But what they're seeing now is that the improvement in customer experience, and they're seeing improvements around 30-40%. They now want to flip their call center from using just humans for most of their time they want to cut it down in half to now have the AI agents take on half the calls and reduce the human, and then use the humans for more complex scenarios that maybe the platform can't solve, or it's not readily available. Someone has to kind of go in the back end and make a change or something, and then use the humans more for transfer calls. And so, yeah, we've been operational for a few months now, and things are going really well. They really like the service. They like the fact that everything is the continuity of it, right? Whether it's in different languages or whatnot, everything stays on track. Everything is not being changed here or there. Sometimes you get a different call center person and they could be different, right? But, you never know who you're going to get. With AI phone agents, you can train it with some of the best of your customer service experience knowledge, of all of your best hires, maybe. And then now that agent is instantly trained is consistent.
Right.
So you get a consistent experience over the long period of time. There could be sometimes a customer service rep that may communicate in a way that you feel is a little rude, right? And that happens sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And you may say, you're a little rude. You're like, no. And then they're like, no, I'm not really rude. And you're like, well, you are. And then, then there's a thing, right?
Yeah.
So the consistency, the ability for the agent to speak multiple languages, the availability, the continuity, the consistency, we're seeing that as some of the things that are coming up in our conversations with some of the Shopify owners.
I love it. So it sounds like there's a few months you've been in the Shopify ecosystem, but years, platform agnostic elsewhere. So you have a lot of case studies on the other and larger platforms and other markets too, not just e-com and retail. But so it sounds like there's a lot of early wins right now. And it sounds like there likely are some patterns emerging now that are very unique with the Shopify connection and the Shopify kind of early stage to mid-market brands, kind of what they're doing, what they need. And I think you're likely getting a lot of feedback from the Shopify merchants now saying, hey, this works really, really great, but have you ever thought about this? And they're like, that's a good idea.
Yeah. We're getting a lot of those now, right? Like, what about this? And some of those features we have in our full-fledged platform. And it doesn't stop someone from using our full-fledged platform because we're still using phone numbers.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
So the phone number could be put anywhere on a website. We did the Shopify integration so that it could be seamless, faster, and people can get up and running, within minutes, right? On our main platform, you can do all those other things, right? You can do outbound outreach. You can call people that abandoned the cart. There's so many more features on the main platform. And that's just because it's just something that we spent more time building. So there's still capabilities if someone wants to go ahead and use that tool, our main platform tool.
Right.
On the main Shopify integration, we wanted to make sure that it was focused in the beginning just because we wanted to get feedback. So a lot of the features that are coming up and some of the new things that the customer's asking for, we're going to keep adding them as we go.
Right. So let's talk about the ROI. I know it's so inexpensive. When I went there, like I said, is the starting price point, I think, I don't know, like 100 minutes a month or something included. It's $50 and it's like 20 cents a minute or something. So, in a call, average calls, a couple of minutes. So it's really, really affordable net. I mean, even like high-end enterprise, in your mega store, I think you call it, it's like $500 a month.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's be a lot of different types of entrepreneurs that are, and I'd say different, I guess, groups of people that are listening today just because of the size of Shopify. I mean, the plus side of the market, I think, is maybe about 15 to 16,000 brands that are on the plus side. There's just over 5 million on what we call Shopify core brands. And so, based on that, what do you think some of the next steps are for those that are listening today and saying, hey, you know what, if you have a phone number on there, because I think the experience might be a little bit different. Maybe, is there an audit process of saying, well, how much are you currently using your current phone system in minutes and live agents? And I guess I'm trying to understand the ROI and business conversation around, it seems like a no-brainer for an early stage brand to say, for $50, I'm going to chuck this thing on and I'm going to run it for 100 minutes and see what happens and pay 20 cents a minute and just test it out for a few months. But there's some people that are like, well, no, we have 5 agents right now and we have, 5,000 minutes a month. See, I just don't know how the conversation is between early stage and then the mid-market businesses.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So, for some of the mid-market and Shopify Plus stores, we find that when we reach out to them, they have generally some kind of call center operation set up or some kind of system set up, right?
Yeah.
And we find that to be really a really good pain point to reach out to about, because it's the same, what I mentioned earlier, right? The different languages, the continuity, right? Keeping things similar. And we feel that the pain point with their group is pretty high. Based on some of the conversations that we've had, a lot of them sometimes don't have 100% insight into their call center operation. So they have to kind of open up the hood a bit. And then when they look at it, they say, well, we do have a high bill that we're paying for the call center. And what we're providing, basically, even at the Pro Mega Store or beyond, is the ability to have basically a call center at your fingertips that you manage and you can see in real time, right? You can see you can see sentiment and analytics right away. You can see all that data in front of you. It's not something you have to wait to report on. It's not something you have to have a meeting about. This is something that you can see immediately on the platform. We think that's a huge selling point. In addition to that, we do have custom plans for customers. So if customers are beyond the mega, let's say you want more than 20 agents, or if you want a large operations, we have custom plans, which we're already doing right now. We have, I think, a few that we did custom enterprise plans for. So we can actually scale it up for them and say, hey, we want to go to 100 agents, no problem. Let's talk about that. Or how do we get you there? And typically with that, we can actually go way higher than their current call center operations, right? They may say, oh, I only have about 20, 30 people, right? We can probably say, well, we can get you to 100 and you're paying a fraction of the cost. And why is that important? Well, keep in mind, we're a dual threat here, because with those custom plans, they can also use outbound. And so with outbound, now you have both people calling in and being able to also call out. So we have the agents calling out for customers that needed help with the cart. Maybe they had a product issue that no one reached out to about, right? So then you start talking about cart abandonment and calling out to 8 people. Now that's that's a revenue generator.
The revenue generator, yeah.
Yeah. So we think that we can really do a lot with the Shopify Plus, because they probably have higher use cases where they need more outbound and they also need more follow-up, so that they don't use customers. Maybe they have high ticket items that are expensive, and those kind of customers, you got to be fast, right? You can't let them just linger on and then leave, because they're probably looking at another provider, right?
Yeah.
And those are harder sales to get. So yeah, I think the answer is that we can customize those pricing plans for customers that are in that segment. We also think that they have a higher pain point for customer service and continuity.
Yeah, it sounds like, I have some notes here about just voice commerce in general and just kind of like the future. And it's so interesting because it says, and I'm not sure who this was through, but they said that it's projected to hit $87 billion in voice commerce by 2035. And so I know we're in the early days right now, but it's so interesting where, I think some brands that, especially in the Shopify ecosystem, I think creating this competitive moat. I'd call it maybe a first mover advantage. I think it's a very unique opportunity to have it because there are people that are using AI tools, like I said, maybe for on-page personalization or for forecasting for their inventory. Maybe they're using it in their CRM to help with their canned responses, and maybe like using like quote unquote a chat bot on their site, like in their browser. But I think it's interesting for brands. Like, so what do you say to them if like, hey, here's what success looks like. And I know it's your first mover, but would that in fact be a competitive advantage by having access to a technology stack like this?
Yeah, I think that in the future, the personalization is going to be huge. And I think voice and the human-like voice that you can connect to can really do that. If you look at, and I don't mean to bring up ChatGPT, but if you look at ChatGPT's, the highest amount of usage is really about advice.
It is, yeah.
And that's kind of like personalization, right? Like, tell me about what things I like. And people kind of, I think with the problem in society we have now is too many choices. And when you have too many choices, you tend to get stressed out about that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you want curation. You want things to come to you, right? And if you notice on social media or Netflix or these other sites, Netflix is probably a good example. When you go and watch a video stream, it's kind of like giving you the next one.
Yeah.
Or you're kind of like, it's automatically starting for you, or it's telling you what you like.
Yeah.
I think curation is going to be big. I think voice is really going to be able to do that more than ever, right? Being able to have that kind of different experience. People have been traditionally going to websites for the last 20, 25, 30 years, right? And it hasn't changed the experience. You just browse and you kind of, look around. You have to click the menu. But voice is really powerful, and having an agent that can understand the customer over time, and then even outreach to them later on in the future and say, "Hey, Steve, it's been a while. I know that T-shirt that you bought last year is probably a little run down. I know you liked it. I know you travel a lot. Can I get an order out to you?"
Yeah.
That's very powerful. You can't do that with just going to the website, right? Someone actually calling you to remind you about an order that you may need that you're not even aware of, or may want to curate something to you. Say, "Hey, Steve, I have something very interesting for you. We have this new shoe that came out and it does X," right?
Yeah.
So I think that's very powerful.
What's interesting is like you talk about ChatGPT and stuff, and I know that I think in September, Shopify kind of announced their official kind of connection to ChatGPT. And I think, it's like all these platforms are trying to keep their site visitors kind of from within the same platform. Google's trying to do the same thing, like from within their browser and all that. So it's so interesting. And I think some major brands have, like Glossier's and the Skims and Viore and Stanley mugs and all that. I think a lot of them are testing this and trying it out right now with good success. But the challenge is that that you're still typing it in. Now, you could click the microphone icon, I suppose, and speak into ChatGPT and kind of go down that rabbit hole. But once again, these are people that are probably on, when I think of e-commerce right now, they're already on your site in real time live on their phone probably. And then knowing that's the advantage I think that you guys have versus some of these other tools that are out there, is that there's a phone number there, especially on mobile. You can make it really front and center and easy for them to click a button with a really good modal. And then boom, they can now talk to an AI agent through Pearl to get the answer to the question they want, like right now. As you said, people are on the move right now, and it's so easy to do it versus opening up ChatGPT. Tell me the best kind of like office chair for a big guy that's 300 pounds and blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah, that's a good question, but that also could be asked through your system too, in real time in a voice.
Yeah. And I think the ChatGPT play, like all of these other, apps, they want to keep people on their platform
100%.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's also an SEO play. It's also a distribution play. It's also having experience. And I think those are going to work fine. But I do think that as a customer and you building out employees of the company, that's where we're trying to get to, right? We're trying to give you employees that can actually do actions for you.
Right.
Now, that can be various things. It could be email, SMS, it could be calls, it could be various things that you want the agent to do. But in theory, what it's really trying to do is trying to solve a problem that you may have. And the fact that we're integrated on the back end, we're able to read things that not just on the front end, which is obvious, right? So, you actually ChatGPT will find me a t-shirt that has, white shirt and, it's cotton and whatever, has a, tight on the arms, right?
Right.
And it's going to curate, how many other Shopify stores all at once for you, right? So it's going to,
Yeah.
then whoever has the best SEO on these, or AEO now, right? AI,
GEO. Yeah, I know.
yeah, and then they're going to be the ones that rank up, right? And so now
Yeah.
again, it's back to an SEO play, and you're like, okay, now I have too many choices again, right? We're back to the too many choices option. So I think that if someone's going to your store and finding you specifically, you want to be able to capture them and keep them, and you want to hold them as a customer indefinitely, right? You want
Right.
repeat business,
Yeah.
right? And now there's not many e-commerce stores selling mattresses, right? There's a reason why they do retail for it, because, hopefully you get a mattress and you don't have to change it in 5 years. But you go there because you're going to get something that's repeatable generally.
Yeah.
And now you have a customer that you have to engage in consistently, potentially, hopefully, right? Or you want to keep them afterwards. So what's that tool or that you're going to use to keep them? ChatGPT is going to help you get SEO. Great. Going to give you distribution. Great. You got to really help though with that. You got to rank your store better. You got to throw a lot of ads out. You got to do all those things so the LLM is picking that up.
Yep.
But what we're trying to do is, keep your customer and then get them to repeat again.
Yeah.
And that's through voice at the moment that we're doing it.
So I guess to sum that up, I guess this is my takeaway, is that it sounds like it's like multi-channel kind of AI commerce in general is exploding, however you look at it. So ChatGPT, I guess, is handling the text conversations, and that's interesting. But it sounds like NLPearl is handling the voice calls. So now customers can, literally expect AI assistance wherever they are. They can't buy it on ChatGPT, or wherever they are, they can now expect, because of your platform now, I'm almost an intelligent voice support now too, to help them get to what they want, right? Does that kind of make sense?
And to add on top of that, we'll put the cherry on top. The agent can also update your records for you, right? It can,
that's
it can
true.
go and update your CRM. It can go and change things. It's your digital employee that you have at your fingertips now. I think that's a huge selling point.
All right. So I love it. I love this infrastructure you're building right now. I just honestly believe early adopters of voice AI are really, in my opinion, that's why I have you on. You're the first guy building this that I know of. And I think you really are positioning, I think, a brand that they take you on at least on a 3-month trial to say, hey, let's try this out, because I really feel that a brand would be positioning themselves ahead of this curve that is happening no matter what. And so first mover advantage. Yeah.
Yeah. And to add to that, we have a 7-day free trial. You can just go and test it out for a week. If you don't like it, no strings attached, which I think is awesome.
Well, it's a good segue to figure out what do you believe some next steps are? Because like I said, there are some large mid-market ones. I know we can get some special enterprise kind of ones. Is it the people in the mid-market to early stage, or is it best just go bang to the app store, download the app and get rocking? And then those that are maybe full, they have a full call center or full outsourced call center, would be best to kind of have a business conversation direct with someone on your team?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. So I think if you're just starting out, or if you're a company that's been around for a while and you are getting a decent amount of calls, or you still have your own personal phone number on there.
Yeah.
Some of the smaller plans will work really well for you. It gives you, the Pearl Boutique gives you 10 calls concurrent, 10 agents basically. On the pre-Pearl Retail, you get 15, and then the Mega Store, you get 20. And then for those mid-market Shopify Plus accounts that probably need a business conversation, because we definitely want to understand your use case a little more, maybe help you with understanding the platform, or give you custom pricing. But we really feel that this tool can be used widely. Now, I can tell you that some of the things that we've done with larger companies that have used us, sometimes they use us as the front end of every call to then transfer, instead of getting a bot that picks up where it's like, the scripted message. We can have the AI phone agent on the front end of a store take on all the calls, and only if you need a human to respond to you, it'll transfer the call.
I see.
And so we can also be a front end employee, or it could be the full employee, right? So it really depends on the use case that a customer may need. And the advantages of that is that the agent is obviously autonomous, right? It can answer questions more naturally in a human-like fashion. It can do actions. It can update records. That's something you can't do right now with any phone system that you choose, especially for the bigger companies. They usually have an IVR in the front of it. And so then they have, it's very basic. It sounds arduous. It takes a while to get to a human. You get frustrated. You probably lose the person within the first, 2 minutes, right? It's like calling your airline company. You don't want that. You want it to be boom, right in front of you. And that's what we give them. So we really feel it's a great product to try out, at least for some of the smaller new ones. And then for the ones that are more established, to have a lot of call volume, we're happy to think Megastore could be a really good use case for 20 concurrent calls, or we can go forward with custom pricing.
Wicked. Okay, this is awesome. So I'll make sure I update the show notes with all these details. So it's NLPearl.ai. You can go there, check out the website. There is an option to book a demo, and you can try that out. But I think just having your 7-day free trial offer directly in the Shopify App Store, you just type in NLPearl, find it, install it, connects to your store, does its ingestion and the onboarding process, and literally 10 minutes later, it's ready to deploy. And so pretty cool. This is really, I always joke on the show, but like I'm on page 2 of notes, and that's actually a good show because there's a lot of great takeaways. I learned a lot today. I think, I say first mover advantage and competitive moat a lot, but I think I really feel that. I think it's interesting. This is where the world is headed right now with this multi-channel, I'm going to call it this AI commerce. It is exploding. You're part of that explosion happening right now, and you're building like a really cool solution, at least for the Shopify world, and you've done it for other industries. I see I look under industries like from hospitality to airlines and government and real estate and legal. There's lots of like use cases that have been baked in already to your core platform. And it's great now that you're migrating over into the Shopify world. So it's really exciting.
Yeah, we're excited to work with the community too. Happy to partner with anyone in the community that's interested in talking to us, and also looking to get feedback as well. We want to make sure this is a good product for the Shopify, community.
Yeah, I love that flywheel effect, because I think just when you give that feedback, it just kind of gets the momentum going, and
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is wicked. All right. Well, thanks, Thomas, for recording, and I wish you continued success, and congrats on the launch in the Shopify world. And hopefully this, for those that are listening right now, you really just give it a whirl. I mean, it costs you nothing. Like you don't know what you don't know. And I think it's worth a test to try it out. Even if you turn it on a different phone number and you try, have your friends call in and like really kick the tires, like what live with your data and your information and your site, and just kind of see how it works. I think you'd be pretty surprised kind of what's available here. So it's pretty wicked. So thanks, Thomas.
Thanks for your time. Yeah, you've been awesome. Appreciate you so much.
My pleasure. All right. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.